Okay, in our last little video here, we're actually going to measure something now and then figure out the reading so you know how to read this after all. So here's what I'm going to measure. I'm going to measure this main journal on this camshaft, and the camshaft is used to operate the valves. This is out of a Ford, about a 1988 Ford Tempo engine. So the first thing you always do for the part you want to measure, wipe it off nice and clean. You can see how nice and clean I've wiped this off. There's no oil on it, no dirt. It's nice and shiny, ready to be measured. And I've already checked the accuracy of my micrometer. We went over that in the other video. So what I do is I'm going to take this. See, it won't fit over, so I'm going to open it up, turn this, I'm going to move this back a little bit. I'm going to turn the thimble so I can fit it over top, about halfway. And then I'm going to turn just the ratchet. I'm going to turn the ratchet here. There, you hear it ratcheting, so it's making contact. The spindle and the anvil are making contact. And what I want to do is make sure, see, it's snug, but I can pass it over. I can pass it over, but it is snug. Oh, there, I got to open it, try this again. There we go, passes over, but snug right there. So I'm going to lock it. What I did was I just turned the lock screw, and there's my reading. Okay, so this is a 2 to 3 inch micrometer. So my answer will always start with the first number you see on the frame. Since it is a 2 to 3 inch micrometer, and these are whole inches, so whole numbers, so it's 2 inches. So what I'm going to do is write down here the frame scale. So I said it always starts with the first number on the frame. It's a 2. So that's full inches. So 2.0, because it's full inches. 2.0. Then I go to the sleeve. And I look at the sleeve, all right, and on the sleeve, we already went over here how on a sleeve you have the tenths and you have the 25 thou inch divisions on here. Now, first we look at the tenths. How many tenths do we see showing? Well, there's 0, and that's all we can see. We don't see the next one, which would be 1, of course. See, there's 1, 2, 3. All we see is the 0. So in this case, there's nothing else to add in terms of the tenths. It's just 0. So 0 tenths. So I'm going to write that down here, each step, so it makes sense. So I checked the tenths, and there were not any to be read. So it's 0. Then, after the tenths, we read how many full divisions, those 25 thou inch divisions there are. So let's look at this one, so we understand what I'm talking about. See, after the tenths, see how there's each one of these little divisions here? Each one of those spaces is 25 thou, we said, 25 thousandths of an inch. And what we want to see is how many are showing on our micrometer that we're reading with. There's a part 1 showing there. See, I can see the vertical line and then a little space after it. But I only include those 25 thou divisions if they're full ones. That's only a part 1 showing. So I can't use it. So in this case, there are no 25 thou inch divisions to add into my answer. So I'm going to make that 0.0. So that's the whole numbers, the frame. So that's the frame. These are the tenths. And these are the 25 thou inch divisions on the sleeve. Okay? So that's sleeve. And that's the frame. Okay? Now, we go to the thimble, and what we do is there's a 5 there. I'm going to come up here. See this 0 right here? There's a line here. Let's look at it over here on this one. There's the 0, the same 0, and there's a line going across. Wherever that line is, we read the number of thousandths on that thimble up to that 0 line going across. So here is our 0 line, right there, and it lines up, there's 5, 6 thou, 7 thou, 8 thou, so 8 thousandths of an inch. And in fact, in this case, it lines up dead on. So it's 8 thousandths of an inch. So I'm going to put that in here. Now, remember, thousandths of an inch. I have 8 thou. If 1 thou is 0.001, 8 thou would be 0.008. So 0.008, and that's the thimble. Okay. And since it lines up dead on, there's nothing else for me to do here except add up my answer now. I don't use any of these numbers on the vernier scale because the 0 here lines up dead on with a line over here. If that 0 did not line up dead on with a number over here, then I would have to use this vernier scale. So I'll do another example for that. So all I got left to do is add it up. So we have 8, 0, 0, decimal 2. So 2.008 inches is my answer. Notice I made sure that my decimal mark lined up and each column and each row. All right, so otherwise you could make a mistake at doing basic addition, which is not what you want to do. And that is how you read a micrometer. Now I'm going to do another example in another video that's a little harder, okay?